I love the fact that Adrian, Mamoru, whichever version you like, Tuxedo Mask, he's got a boyfriend in the OG. He does not have a boyfriend in Cristal or the manga, because that was an original story. Fiore and the Dark Tree Saga, that entire freaking arc is just OG. He's a bi-king in the OG. That should be reason enough for you to watch the OG. Support characters and their rights to be hoes. Living that horny. Sailor Moon is one of the most iconic shoujo series of all time. Though the magical girl series concept technically started with Tezuka's Princess Knight, Sailor Moon was the one who established many of the tropes you know and love, and was a key part of introducing and popularizing anime to the West. Now we've got Sailor Moon Eternal coming up, the first theatrical release of a Sailor Moon film in 26 years. 1 second. Just noises. Okay. So let's say you've never heard of this legendary series, or you've heard but never watched it, which is totally fine, and you want to know where to start so you can watch the movie. Well, that's a valid question. Whether it's because you've seen a couple of those lo-fi hip-hop clips from the original series, or you've heard the reboot Cristal follows the original manga more closely, or maybe you've even seen one of my videos where I discuss the elaborated and sometimes bewildering timeline or the differences between several dubs and adaptations. Truth is, Sailor Moon is not that easy to dive into, unless you follow this Cristal's advice, because my name is Cristal, which is that the OG anime is the best way to experience the series. That's it. That's the tweet. Okay, don't click away. Here's why. Part 1. The story. Sailor Moon's original anime is the best way to experience the story. Yeah, I said it. It's why you know about the franchise to begin with, and where so much love for the series comes from. The countless musicals, merchandise, pop cultural references, and spin-offs that have made space buns a mainstream hairstyle are centered around this series. Usagi as a character is hilarious, adorable, and badass. The supporting cast is vibrant and fun, and the art style, while outdated compared to its newest incarnation, season 3 only, is possibly more charming and dynamic. Usagi's expressions in the OG anime make for some of the best GIF tweet replies ever. Is it GIF or is it GIF? This is the eternal argument. In contrast, the Cristal adaptation brings a much more stylized, romantic Usagi with slightly stiffer expressions that aren't quite as relatable, particularly for seasons 1 and 2. But what I personally find really cool about the OG is how it fleshes out its minor characters. In the original manga and subsequently the Cristal anime, the pace is quicker and doesn't have that much breathing room. Characters are shown and dropped off like flies. I'm not even exaggerating. The Sailor Moon Cristal adaptation is actually how I ended up realizing that maybe the original manga wasn't even that good at the storytelling aspect. Okay, look. The colorful, vibrant world of pastels and magic is fleshed out even further by the anime's approach to filler. In fact, I made a whole episode about the art of anime reboots where I talk about fillers and how some series actually benefit from them. This is one of them. Goku and Piccolo learning how to drive was one of the best parts of Dragon Ball Z. Those weird first couple of episodes of the OG Full Metal Alchemist were good, but had nothing to do with the manga and were taken from the light novels. Filler can be good. Come at me. Iconic songs were born from these filler episodes in both the sub and the dub. Rainy day, you're much more than a friend. Kuchibiru gata ni itamutatu daeta mama de iwa itsu revenge. Okay, fine, I'll stop. But you know what? The OG Sailor Moon playlist is boss, and the Hispanic dub slaps. Things boil down to how you use something. In this case, how you use filler. Heavily action-driven series, for example, need to have a break to allow viewers breathing room. Adaptations shouldn't just follow a plot beat by beat. It should also take its medium into consideration. Not everything on a manga page translates to the screen, especially when you consider that Sailor Moon was published like a serial. So that sounds like cereal. I mean a cereal. So there was time in between each chapter, allowing readers to absorb information or analyze panels more closely, or straight up take a break from the emotional weight of the drama on the page. Pacing can make or break a series, and while Cristal isn't a bad adaptation necessarily, and the OG clearly takes plenty of liberties with the story, the cast, crew, and production team involved managed to take something that was already good and make it a richer and more well-rounded experience. Sailor Moon was not designed to be binged. Neither the manga nor the OG series. And in that regard, the OG series actually is the most faithful adaptation if you think about it. Just like its source material, it had to adapt to the distribution limitations of its time and ensure it would be a fun experience for the audience as a self-contained episode. In that same vein, the manga only had a limited amount of pages that could be published per release, so Naoko Takeuchi, the author and illustrator, also had no choice but to make it as fast-paced and condensed as possible. But 15 pages of manga does not equal 15 minutes of engaging animations.
Fry, there's nothing else here. You only wrote 2 pages of dialogue.
Well, it took an hour to write. I thought it would take an hour to read.
So the production team got creative and made choices. Diving into the secondary characters and expanding on the universe and lore that Naoko barely hinted at, it keeps the spirit of the manga without sacrificing the action or development of its diverse cast of characters. A single line by Takeuchi could be turned into backstory and conflict for an entire string of episodes. A moment of silence for the 4 Earth generals and the romance that could have been. Malachite and Makoto, you were robbed.
Makoto.
Isn't that her name in the Japanese version?
Minako.
Minako? Minako's with... No. Malachite is the one with Sailor Jupiter. Kunzite is the one with Minako. Zoisite, Malachite, Jadeite, and Kunzite. Kunzite is the one that gets involved with Zoisite.
I was right.
What?
Malachite is kunzite.
Oh, then wait, what the... Nephrite! Nephrite! I got it wrong. That's okay. I don't want to say Kunzite because he was with Zoisite, and quite frankly, that is the romance I ship, personally. You go. The manga, though amazing in its own respects, clearly, moves very quickly, and the same could be said about Sailor Moon Cristal. But with the original anime, they stretch things out a bit. Take their time with, what they're trying to say or where they're trying to go so as to not outpace the manga. And you have a chance to not just experience the story, but also connect on a deeper level with each character. Characters like Sailor Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus all got some more development and care put into their characters when compared to Cristal. And the manga, even if Venus had a whole prequel manga series, it's not that tied into the plot, so it's actually less relevant than the stories she gets in filler episodes from the animation. That's right. Sailor V ain't that relevant. They also get to be themselves and go on adventures that have nothing to do with the world and everything to do with just being teenage girls. That is the stuff that lets us relate to them, and it's those seemingly meaningless moments where we begin to care about them. This even extends to some minor villains too. Berthier, Nephrite, and Koan were given more screen time, allowing what are basic one-note villains in the other material to become more layered in the anime. It's so strange to say, but it's sort of the anti-Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where Brotherhood decided to follow the manga more closely and it ended up being better overall, or at the very least I feel like it's important to watch both adaptations to get the full story. But in Sailor Moon's case, following the manga is not the best move here if you want the more compelling and fleshed out story. I mean, you could just read the manga, but if you're gonna watch an adaptation, make it the OG. Is it absolutely perfect? No, and it really depends on which adaptation you watch. At this point, you have the OG Japanese series available, so you can jump right in without issue, but it's already a meme at this point that the first US localization pretty much censored Haruka and Michiru's relationship. They were suddenly,
we're cousins.
Best cousins in the world.
Cousins. Cousin. Leave it to me,
cousins. Really close cousins. Super close cousins. Worthy, worthy. In the manga, their love is intense and passionate, and they flirt with people outside of their relationship as well. You could not be screaming, "Hey, we're gay!" louder. Thankfully, the newer Viz dub went out of their way to correct this mistake. And although the relationship is still quite tame compared to what we see in the manga, it's a solid improvement to the way it was before. Another thing the original anime has over the other adaptations is the art. It's a big reason why the series still holds up so well. On top of being included so frequently in lo-fi hip-hop K-pop music. It's positively gorgeous. The pastel colors and designs all come together to capture this dangerous, beautiful, and magical world they live in. Just look at those wafts of color seemingly just floating around. Is it realistic? Not in the slightest, but it's so perfect for the colorful world of Sailor Moon. Cristal, however, yikes. Those first couple of seasons were rough. From the sloppy character models to the 3D transformation sequences, there was a lot going on. Thankfully, the series changed a lot, after a couple of seasons. Season 3 came and improved the quality by a landslide. Though even with these improvements, there's just so much that the original anime imprinted on culture that you have to see it. Remember when I was saying that stuff about Sailor Moon being one of the most iconic shoujo series of all time? The Sailor Scouts transformations, Sailor Moons in particular, are what many magical girl anime base their own transformation sequences on. And even outside of the genre, it's referenced in shows like The Price is Right, Craig of the Creek, and tons more. You know what they ain't referencing? Cristal. Okay, fine, I know, that was kind of mean, but I had to. There is no way the Cristal version of the transformation would have gone viral on TikTok, I'm just saying. Sailor Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, all the Scouts felt more like an ensemble cast in the OG anime, and many people picked their faves and got to identify with them. Heck, to this day, why Chang and Adrian fight over who is Sailor Mercury? Mercury Battle Royale, anyone? If anything, Cristal had to adapt as much of the OG transformation as possible to not get flack from fans. Is there anything Cristal does better? Well, yeah. It has a more modern and improved depiction of gender and sexuality. And you could argue the dub and romance is better. Then again, as an OG fan, I'm gonna leave that one up to your personal taste. Because Usagi's OG voices, including the Western dub, is irreplaceable to me, and I love her ridiculous over-the-top reactions.
He is Tuxedo Mask, I don't believe it.
Again, I'm not saying Cristal is unwatchable. It's very enjoyable and has many merits, but I would recommend watching it as an animated companion to the original manga, a new way to experience Sakeuchi's work that tells a story you already know and love. It can act as a solid refresh for old fans. Just ignore the cheap production quality in the first 2 seasons. But if you're a newcomer, watch the original Sailor Moon, you coward. In order, as God intended, our moon goddess. And don't worry, it's not like JoJo's. You can skip seasons, but you won't want to. I'm a Sailor Moon stan no matter what, so I'll be rewatching both versions and checking out Eternal as soon as it comes out on Netflix. If you want to explore further, join me on our Beyond the Bot Discord or become a member of our Patreon. I'll be making a hashtag Sailor Moon channel and sharing a list of the exact order of Sailor Moon seasons and movies I believe would make the best viewing experience. More than happy to be the Luna to your moon princess and guide you or just straight up fangirl for hours. Once again, thank you so much to our patrons. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. And a very special shout out to Andrew M, Critical225, Kyle, Eric Tortropatu, and Sugar Joe. And speaking of Eric Tortropatu, he has sent us a very cool screening link for a new documentary called Touching Sound, which is a Technika documentary. You guys should check it out. It's on Tubi, and honestly, I am so excited that some of our own are putting out really amazing stuff into the world. And yeah, guys, join our community and show us what you're doing, what you're making, what you're creating. We're totally into that. We also have an artist spotlight on our Instagram where we feature our favorite fan arts or anything you guys send us. We usually do want to give you guys like some love. What anime/manga out there do you want to read, but due to the fandom or sheer amount of content out, just makes it too daunting to even bother? I saw all of Ranma. I saw Gintama, One Piece, Bleach. If anything, I'd love to know what anime or manga you think is too long for me to handle. I don't think I've ever met an anime or manga that I can't take on. In the name of the moon, I will watch that anime. All right, guys, see you on the next flight.